I didn't expect fireworks. Or a parade. Or even one of those cheesy, "So proud of you" captions on someone else's story. But I guess I thought there'd be something. When I posted my diploma photo, my hands were shaking, not because I was nervous, but because for the first time in years, I felt like I had finally done something undeniable. I wasn't begging for attention. I just wanted a flicker of acknowledgement. Some sign that I existed outside of birthday cards with the wrong name and group texts I was mysteriously left out of. I remember refreshing the post every few minutes, telling myself, don't care about it. It's just a post. But it wasn't. It was me saying, hey, I made it through. Even when no one helped. Even when no one noticed. The photo got exactly one like. No fire emojis. No. "So proud of you." Not even a pity, "Congrats," from my mom. Just one lone thumbs up, from Grandpa William, who still signed off every Facebook comment with, "Love, Gramps," like it was an email. At first I laughed. Then I sat with it. I'd spent 6 years scraping my way through night school while working 2 jobs, one at a gas station that smelled like burned burritos and despair, and another hauling boxes in a warehouse where the forklift had more dignity than most of the managers. I didn't go to some Ivy League school with stadium chants and frat parties. I went to a local tech college because it was all I could afford. I studied data systems and analytics, because numbers didn't roll their eyes when you said you worked the night shift. That diploma? It wasn't just paper. It was proof that I didn't disappear when the family gave up on me. But apparently, to everyone else, I had. My cousin Natalie? She posted a blurry photo of a brunch mimosa once and got 114 likes. "Such a ray of sunshine," someone commented. That someone was my aunt. When I got my diploma? Radio silence. Except from Grandpa William. Of course. He not only liked the post, he called me 10 minutes later. He didn't say, "Proud." He said, "I knew you'd do it. I've seen how hard you work, even when no one's looking." That hit different. My family always had a knack for showing up after the spotlight hit. After the engagement ring. After the big promotion. After the destination wedding invites went out. But struggle? Growth? The hustle? Nah. That made them uncomfortable. See, I wasn't the golden child. Or even the silver or bronze. I was somewhere between background decoration and family tech support. I fixed routers at holidays and got blamed when the turkey was dry. So when I earned that degree, after years of ramen, rent panic, and mental spirals, I guess I thought it would shift something. Spoiler, it didn't. But Grandpa kept calling. Every week like clockwork. Sometimes just to tell me about his garden. Or some random historical fact. Or his ongoing feud with his neighbor over a misplaced lawn flamingo. "It migrated on its own," he insisted. Those calls? They meant more than all the empty "How's school?" texts I never got. At Thanksgiving I showed up, diploma in hand literally. It wasn't a flex. I just needed to grab something from my car, and I was carrying it in. My uncle squinted at it like it was written in ancient runes. "Oh, you graduated?" "Yep." "What for?" "Data analytics." A beat. "So, like spreadsheets?" I smiled. "Yeah. But ones that tell billion-dollar companies what to do." He blinked. Cool, cool." Then turned back to his plate like I just announced I won a free coffee at 7-Eleven. My mom didn't say anything at all. Just passed the peas. I sat at the kids' table again that year. Natalie, now a lifestyle blogger, whatever that means, was seated up front next to my parents, holding court with stories about her brand collab with a candle company. No one asked about my job, or what I was doing next, or if I needed anything. But Grandpa pulled me aside when I left. He handed me an envelope. "Just a little something," he said. Inside was a check for $250 and a note that read, "Don't stop building. Love, Gramps." It started with a missed call. Then 2. Then 5 in 1 week. All from family members who hadn't spoken to me in, maybe a decade, give or take the occasional, Merry Christmas, text with my name spelled wrong. At first, I thought I was imagining it. Maybe someone accidentally added me to a group chat. But no, this was deliberate. Cousin Natalie posted an old photo of her and Grandpa with the caption, "Missing our weekly brunches. Can't wait to see you again soon, Redheart." Weekly brunches? Last I checked, she couldn't tell you if Grandpa lived in a condo or a cave. The man once asked me what an acai bowl was because she brought one over and then left it in his fridge to ferment. I called Grandpa that same night, just to check in. He didn't pick up. When he finally returned my call 2 days later, his voice sounded different, thinner, raspier. Still upbeat, still throwing in jokes about his stubborn tomato plants, but there was a drag behind his words. "Just a little cold," he said. Nothing dramatic. He always downplayed things. Even when he dislocated his shoulder falling off a stepladder while fixing his garage light, he texted me. "Slight mishap, currently horizontal. Don't worry, pain meds are lovely." But I knew something was wrong. He coughed 3 times mid-sentence, and I could hear the oxygen machine hiss quietly in the background. That same week, Natalie posted another throwback with Grandpa, this time from when she was 5, holding a balloon and looking confused. "Grandpa always said I was his sunshine," she wrote. "Really?" Grandpa once told me. "That girl talks about herself so much, I'm surprised she doesn't charge people for listening." But here she was, suddenly close, suddenly emotional, suddenly very public. And she wasn't the only one. My aunt, who famously once told Grandpa to get with the times, when he mailed her a birthday card instead of Venmoing her, showed up at his house with a lasagna and matching sweater set for Christmas in July. Meanwhile, I was still dropping by every Thursday, like I'd been doing for years. Not because he asked, just because it was routine. We'd sit in his den, the one that still smelled like pipe tobacco even though he quit 15 years ago, and I'd help him with whatever nonsense his phone was doing that week. "Why is Siri British now? You asked her to be, remember?" "I don't remember that." One day, I noticed a legal pad on the coffee table, scribbled with notes in Grandpa's unmistakable chicken scratch. Names. Crossed out. Circled. Lines pointing to nothing. And one line at the bottom that made me pause. "Make sure it goes to someone who showed up." I didn't ask. I just gently slid it under a stack of National Geographics before he noticed me reading it. About a month later, my mom called me. Which was weird because she hadn't voluntarily called me in at least 2 birthdays and a whole college graduation. "Hi," she said too cheerfully. "Hi. How's work? Still doing the data analysis stuff?" "Yeah. Still doing the stuff." Small talk. Forced chuckles. I knew where this was going before she even said it. "By the way, how's your grandfather? We've been meaning to visit, but you know how things get." I didn't say anything. "And we were thinking of organizing a little family gathering. You know, while he's still, well, just in general." "Right." Suddenly, everyone was circling. Not because they missed him. Because they'd caught a whiff of the end. And with it, the estate. I didn't argue. Didn't call them out. Didn't even bother rolling my eyes. I just said, "Sure. Let me know." Then I called Grandpa and said, "Looks like the whole circus wants to come to town." He just laughed. "Let 'em. I've got front row seats to the show." Grandpa's decline wasn't dramatic. There was no ambulance with flashing lights, no sudden fall, no gasp in the night. It was slower than that. Sadder than that. It was the way his calls got shorter. The way his laugh had pauses now, like it needed time to catch up. The way he'd start a story and then stop mid-sentence to rub his temples, like the words were just out of reach. I tried not to ask too many questions. He hated fuss. Hated being the center of a pity party, as he called it. But one Thursday, I brought him his usual lemon loaf from that bakery he liked, the one with the slightly rude cashier he called Spicy Cheryl, and I found him asleep in the chair. TV on, blanket tucked under his arms, glasses on the tip of his nose. That wasn't unusual. What was unusual was the box on the table next to him. It was labeled simply, "To be read." Inside? Folders. Notebooks. A couple envelopes. Some typed, some handwritten. And one note on top that said, "Don't let them fight over crumbs." I didn't open anything. Just gently put the lid back on and made some tea. When he woke up, I didn't mention it. But he did. "You saw the box," he said, voice barely above a whisper. "Didn't open it," I replied. He smiled. "I knew you wouldn't." Then after a moment he added, "You know what I regret the most?" I looked up. "Letting them treat you like wallpaper. All those years. You were always there. Quiet, consistent. Like the best damn coffee machine in the office. The one no one thanks but everyone uses." I laughed. He grinned. "I know I can't fix all that. But I can make sure the end is less noisy." He didn't say much else. But the way he looked at me, that unspoken trust, stuck with me for days after. 2 weeks later, the family started posting updates. Natalie uploaded a slideshow of all the special moments with Grandpa, which included a blurry picture of her opening Christmas gifts while he sat in the background holding a half-eaten bagel. My aunt posted a quote, "The best dads become the best grandpas," with a photo of herself in front of a candle, looking suspiciously posed. And the calls? Oh, the calls. "Can we help organize anything? Do you know what Grandpa wants for his memorial? Has he said anything about the house?" Subtle. Real subtle. I didn't respond. I just kept showing up. Quietly. Like always. I helped Grandpa organize some papers. Fixed a loose railing on the back porch. Made him soup when the coughing got worse. He hated broth, but he ate it anyway. He was still cracking jokes, though. Said if they made a documentary about him, it'd be titled, "The Man, the Myth, the Mild Indigestion." One day, after folding laundry together, he sat me down and said, "I want you to say something at the funeral." I froze. "Grandpa, I want your voice to be the last one they hear." I swallowed hard. I don't even know what I'd say. "You will. When the time comes." Then he winked. "And don't make it boring. If I hear any cliches, I'll haunt you." A week later, he was gone. He passed in his sleep. No drama. Just peace. I found out from the hospice nurse, not from family. Which wasn't surprising. I'd been listed as his emergency contact for years. No one else had noticed. That night, I sat on my porch, staring at the moon like it might blink back. I wasn't angry. I wasn't even surprised. Just tired. Not just from the grief, but from knowing what was coming next. The family that hadn't seen him in months? They were about to make the funeral all about them. It started with a slideshow. Set to a piano version of Somewhere Over the Rainbow, of course. Photos of Grandpa flashed across the screen at the front of the chapel. Him in his Navy uniform. Him holding a baby, Natalie, naturally. Him gardening, smiling, waving, but somehow, not a single one with me. Not one. Which was impressive, considering I'd been the one taking most of those pictures. I recognized the angles. I knew which ones were from my phone. Guess I didn't fit the aesthetic. The family had arranged the funeral like it was a red carpet event. My aunt wore a full black dress with pearls. Natalie had a fascinator. An actual fascinator. Like it was the Kentucky Derby for grief. And when the pastor asked if anyone wanted to speak, the hands shot up like it was karaoke night. My mom went first. She read a poem. Something she'd Googled, I'm sure. She stumbled over half the lines, then cried softly into a tissue she pulled from her clutch like it had been rehearsed. My uncle followed with a speech that opened with, "William wasn't a perfect man." Always a good sign when that's your opening line. Then came Natalie. She cleared her throat like it was the Oscars. "Grandpa always said I was the light in his life. I remember how he used to sneak me candy when Mom wasn't looking." She paused for effect. "And how he told me I'd do great things." Then she looked out at the crowd, teary-eyed, like she expected a standing ovation. I just sat in the back. Silent. No one had asked if I wanted to speak. No one mentioned that Grandpa had requested me to. But I had the note in my pocket. His handwriting clear as day. "You speak last." So I waited. After the final person stepped down, the pastor started to close things out. I stood up. He blinked. "Yes, of course. Please come forward." Some heads turned. A few confused faces. Natalie tilted her head like I'd wandered in from the parking lot by accident. I walked to the podium, cleared my throat, unfolded the letter, then paused. "My name's Mason," I began. "Some of you may not remember that, but Grandpa did." The room went still. I wasn't the loudest person in the family. I didn't have a candle brand or a podcast or a dramatic reunion to post about. A few chuckles, nervous ones. But I was there. Every Thursday. I brought the lemon loaf. I fixed his porch light. I listened when the rest of the world talked over him. I reached into my pocket and pulled out a paper. A small, yellowing note. I want to read something he wrote. Not for Instagram. Not for applause. Just for me. I unfolded it. My voice cracked, just a little. To the one who showed up. Who never asked for attention. Who made my last years easier just by being kind. You may not be the loudest in the room, but you are the one I trusted most. Speak last. Let them hear it. And then, walk away smiling. I folded the note slowly. Looked up. And met every single one of their eyes. "Thanks, Grandpa." I walked back down the aisle before the applause could even start. I wasn't there for their approval. I was there for him. The will reading was set for the following Tuesday, at a lawyer's office downtown that smelled like leather and disappointment. They called it a small gathering. It wasn't. Every cousin, uncle, estranged half-relative, and vaguely connected plus one showed up in black suits that still had the price tags tucked under the collar. I'm pretty sure one of them was wearing cologne called Inheritance. I came in last. No dramatics. Just walked in, took the only seat left, between Natalie and a ficus that was somehow already dying. She looked at me like I was the seating mistake. I just smiled. Before the lawyer even entered, the room buzzed with nervous energy. My uncle muttered something to his wife about liquid assets. My mom asked if he had crypto. Natalie reapplied her lip gloss like this was a press event. "Do you think he mentioned the house?" My aunt whispered, not very quietly. Someone snorted. "Bet he split it evenly." "Right." Then the lawyer, Mr. Penfield, stiff tie, glasses, he adjusted every sentence, walked in and cleared his throat like he was auditioning for Broadway. "If everyone's ready, we'll begin." Now, to be clear, no one had said Grandpa was rich. But you could feel the hope in the air. Everyone sat straighter. Phones disappeared. Natalie folded her hands like she was about to be knighted. And then Mr. Penfield began. It started normally. "To my daughter, I leave the family photo albums. May they remind you of the years we forgot how to talk. Oof. To my grandson Eric, the set of woodworking tools you admired but never used. May you finally build something with your own hands." Brutal. Natalie perked up when he got to her. "To Natalie, the decorative plates you always complimented. You're welcome to them. Please don't try to sell them on Etsy." I swear I heard a snort from the paralegal. I should have been bracing for what came next. But I wasn't. I expected maybe the flamingo statue. A gardening book. Something small, private. A quiet nod to our Thursday lemon loaf ritual. Instead, Penfield paused dramatically. And lastly, every head turned. To the one who showed up. My breath caught. My heart hit my ribs once. Hard. Penfield continued. To the person who never asked, never boasted, never posted. Who brought lemon loaf on Thursdays, changed light bulbs, and stayed after the rest of them left. Who didn't need applause to care, only a reason. I leave the house. The savings. The investment account. The car. The books. The ridiculous flamingo statue in the garden. Everything. Silence. Penfield straightened his glasses and said the line. And by name. I leave it all to Mason Carter. The silence broke, hard. My aunt gasped like someone slapped her. Natalie's mouth actually dropped. One cousin muttered, "No freaking way." And me? I just sat there. Still. Silent. Exactly like always. No reaction. No smirk. Just nodded once and said, "Thank you." Penfield handed me an envelope. In Grandpa's handwriting it said, "Read this when it starts to feel unreal." I slipped it into my jacket. Didn't open it. Not yet. After the reading, no one said a word to me. Not directly. But I could feel it. The glares. The whispered curses. The sideways glances like I'd cheated on a test they didn't study for. Natalie brushed past me on the way out and hissed, "He barely even liked lemon loaf." I didn't reply. But I wish I'd said, "He liked me." That was enough. I stepped outside, finally letting my chest rise fully. And just when I thought I was in the clear, my uncle followed me out. "Hey," he said, arms folded. "You know this isn't right." "Excuse me?" "You manipulated him. You isolated him. He wasn't in his right mind." I laughed. Actually laughed. I was the only one who showed up. That's it. No games, no strategy. Just care. He opened his mouth to argue, but stopped. Maybe because he knew. Maybe because he didn't have a comeback. Either way, I left him standing in the parking lot, clutching his dignity like it was non-refundable. They waited exactly 2 days before the call started. Not even a full 48 hours of morning before the first. "Hey, just checking in," smiling face with smiling eyes. Message popped up. From Natalie, of course. Then came the texts. "Mom, I know you're probably overwhelmed. We should talk. Aunt Linda, let's not let money tear the family apart. Eric, yo man, I was wondering if I could borrow the car for a bit. Just while I figure stuff out." By Friday, I was getting group messages. Full paragraphs. Quotes from Grandpa. Even Bible verses. I'm not religious. Neither are they. But nothing says desperation like weaponized Corinthians. Then came the big one. Mom called. I stared at the screen for a good minute before picking up. "Hi, Mason," she said, with a voice so sweet it could have caused cavities. "Hi." I just wanted to say, "I'm proud of you." Silence. "That speech you gave at the funeral? Beautiful. Really. Grandpa would have loved it." I waited. "And we were thinking, all of us, that maybe it would be nice to, keep the house in the family." There it was. I didn't even ask what that meant. She kept going, trying to sound casual. "You could rent rooms out. We'd help, of course. Your cousins are having a rough time right now. And Natalie's lease is up, so my inheritance was now the family hostile plan. And besides," she added, "Grandpa wouldn't want us fighting over things. He'd want us to come together." I almost laughed. "Mom," I said, "he literally called me the one who showed up. The will isn't a riddle." He was clear. A pause. "So you're really going to keep everything?" That line. That tone. Like I was being selfish. Like I was hoarding toys instead of finally holding the scraps of dignity they'd all tried to strip from me for years. "I'm going to honor him," I said. "By doing exactly what he asked?" Then I hung up. A week passed. I moved into Grandpa's house. It was surreal. The place I used to mow the lawn at, now mine. The porch still had that creaky third step. The flamingos still leaned a little too far left. And the garden? A mess. But a beautiful one. I didn't change much. Left his books where they were. Left his favorite mug on the counter. The chair with the dent from years of reading untouched. But I did add one thing. A lock. On the gate. Because 2 nights later, Natalie tried to show up. No warning. No invitation. Just rolled up in her Prius with a tote bag and said, "I figured I'd crash for a few days, clear my head." I didn't even open the door. I just spoke through the intercom Grandpa had installed 5 years ago, the one she'd once called. Extra and unnecessary. Hi, Natalie. This isn't a hotel. You should know that. Dad said it once, remember? Silence. Then she said, I'm family. I replied, yeah. And I'm the one Grandpa trusted. There's a difference. Then I turned the camera off. She stood there for a while. Then walked back to her car. No dramatic scene. No sobbing. Just a slow realization, she had no keys anymore. Inside, I opened the envelope Grandpa left me. One line, handwritten in ink that had smudged just slightly. You earned this. Don't let them convince you otherwise. So I didn't. The email came 2 weeks after the will reading. Subject line. Family dinner, reconnect and heal sparkling heart. At first I thought it was spam. But no, it was from Aunt Linda. Typed like a group therapy session. Marketed like a Sunday brunch. Hi Mason. We thought it might be nice to have a small family dinner, no drama, no talk about inheritance. Just togetherness. Grandpa would have wanted us to stay close. Hope you can come. Love. Everyone. Attached was a flyer. A flyer, bro header. Rebuilding the Carter family. Below it? A smiling stock photo of people clinking wine glasses. Date, time, address, Aunt Linda's house. And a line in fine print. Bring a dish if you'd like. I stared at it for a minute. Then chuckled. Because I knew exactly what this was. Not healing. Not reconnection. This was a stage, and I was the reluctant main character in a play they'd written without my input. That night, I stood in Grandpa's old kitchen. The lemon loaf pan still hung by the stove. His kettle still squeaked when it boiled. Everything still smelled like dusty books and cedar. I looked at the note again. You earned this. Don't let them convince you otherwise. Then I looked at myself in the mirror. No tie. Just a clean, dark shirt. Rolled sleeves. Grandpa once told me, revenge doesn't need to be loud, just well-dressed and punctual. So I was. I didn't bring food. I brought a folder. Aunt Linda's house was full. Half smiles. Cheap wine. Hugs that lasted too long and meant too little. I walked in and got hit with, look who finally came around. We were just talking about you. You're looking so grown up. All from people who hadn't texted me in years. The dinner table was set like a Thanksgiving pageant. Meatloaf. Salad. 5 casseroles. A ham that somehow looked passive-aggressive. I sat near the end. Not the kids' table, but not center stage either. I didn't touch the food. I waited. And it only took 17 minutes. That's when Natalie stood, holding a glass of wine like she was giving a toast at her own wedding. We're so glad Mason could join us. Really. After everything. She smiled. Tilted her head just slightly. And I think it's important to remember that Grandpa loved all of us. And maybe it's not too late to share, not just memories, but the future too. Translation: give us stuff. Gift wrapped in faux forgiveness. The room got quiet. I stood up, walked to the end of the table, and opened the folder. Laid out neatly. A printed list of every Thursday I'd visited. Texts Grandpa sent me. A scanned copy of the note. Photos of us. A screenshot of the day I posted my diploma, liked by only one man. This, I said, is the difference between showing up and showing off. A few uncomfortable shifts in chairs. My uncle rolled his eyes. One cousin muttered, is this really necessary? I turned to Natalie. You posted 3 selfies during his funeral. I counted. One had a sparkle filter. Turned to Mom. You didn't even visit him when he got diagnosed. Said the hospital made you anxious. Then I looked at all of them. I'm not here to fight. I'm just not going to let you rewrite the story. Folded the folder. Tucked it under my arm. Paused. And the meatloaf looked ambitious. Then I walked out. On the drive home, I passed the old park Grandpa and I used to stop at after grocery runs. The bench was still there. The one with the peeling paint and the wobbly armrest. He once told me, families forget. That's their talent. But you remember. My phone buzzed. Natalie. You're being cold. Grandpa would be ashamed. I didn't reply. Just sent a photo of the handwritten note again. You earned this. Don't let them convince you otherwise. Then I blocked her. Not out of spite. But because peace doesn't come when they forgive you, it comes when you stop needing them to. Spring hit the garden like it had something to prove. The roses Grandpa planted last year were finally blooming. The flamingo statue, still leaning slightly like it had one too many, stood surrounded by color. It had been 3 months since the dinner. Since the final text. Since I said no, and meant it. I'd kept the house the way he left it. Mostly. But I added one thing. A small plaque in the garden, right beside the porch swing. Simple brushed bronze, nothing flashy. Just 4 words, exactly how he signed every birthday card. Always rooting for you. Gee. I didn't post it. Didn't tag anyone. Just stood there one morning with my coffee and let it sit. Quiet. Real. The family went silent after that. No more texts. No calls. No flyers. Like they finally understood, the door wasn't just closed, it was sealed with intention. But not everyone stayed away. 2 weeks ago, a letter arrived. Real mail. Handwritten. It was from Penfield, the lawyer. Inside was a copy of an amendment Grandpa had written but never mentioned out loud. Dated just a week before he passed. If Mason accepts the estate as written, and continues to do what he's always done, then please ensure the following is carried out. Below it, a donation in my name to the local library he loved. A scholarship fund for trade students at the nearby community college. And one final line. He never asked for anything. So I leave him this, a bench, in the park where we used to sit. Let him pick the quote. I didn't cry. But I did sit down. Right on the porch step, coffee in hand, eyes blurry, and heart full. 2 weeks later, I went to the park. That same bench. The one with the peeling paint, the wobbly armrest. It had been replaced. Fresh wood. Solid iron legs. A new plaque already attached. And the quote? My choice. I had to think hard about it. Wanted it to be right. So I went back to an old text. The first one Grandpa ever sent me. Back when I was still in school, still unsure, still invisible to half my family. It said, the world may never clap for you. Show up anyway. So that's what I had engraved. I sat down, leaned back, and just let the silence fill me. Before I left, a kid passed by with a backpack slung over one shoulder, balancing a drink in one hand and a notebook in the other. He looked like someone trying, not succeeding yet, but trying. He paused, glanced at the bench, then at me. You picked that quote? Yeah. He nodded. It's good. Then he sat down. Didn't say anything else. Just pulled out his notebook and started writing. And for the first time in a long time, I smiled. Not the polite kind. Not the I'm fine kind. The real kind. The kind Grandpa would have caught from across the room and pointed at. That bench? It wasn't just for sitting. It was a reminder. That quiet doesn't mean small. That presence matters more than posts. And that sometimes, the biggest win isn't revenge, it's peace.